A real man is physical.
Strong. Independent.
He's powerful.
Physical.
Intimidating.
Strong.
Independent.
In control.
Rugged.
Scares people.
Powerful.
Respected.
Hard.
A stud.
Athletic.
He's muscular.
A real man is tough.
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 I grew up in a Latino community, and I experienced firsthand what it's like to have machismo forced upon me. And being a queer man, it was a very big struggle to balance my queer identity with this standard of masculinity that was placed on me since birth. And I think that a lot of other queer Latino men experience it.
Growing up in this small little town was really difficult. I was totally different. I mean, I was more in the feminine side than I was in the masculine side. Or my mom would be like, stop playing with those Barbies before your dad gets home. My dad would like hit me on the shoulder and be like, don't act like that. And I'd be like, what did I do wrong? I felt like I was being caged somewhere where I couldn't be free. I met this transgender friend who started telling me that she's always felt that she was a female girl. And I'm like, well, that's how I felt. As soon as I put on that like beautiful long wig and this beautiful sexy dress, I was like, oh my God, I just felt like it was like this the clouds from heaven like opened up. There was like, ah, you know, and I was like, oh my God, this is me.
For a long time, I identified as bisexual. I felt like it was easier than saying I was like a lesbian. I went to Pride, I snuck out of my house. We get there and it's like amazing and it's really hot and sunny, so I get a like sunburn or whatever. And I go home. I lived at my parents' house still, and my mom walked to my room and threw my door open and she was like, ¿A dónde estabas?
Slowly I started doing my transformation. Kind of kept it to myself for a while. I kept on taking my hormones. I remember one of my friends at work was like, are you gonna tell your family? Call him, here's the phone. I try a message and I'm like, Mom, I'm like, it's me. I'm like, I'm sorry I haven't been home to visit, but there's something I have to tell you. I'm no longer a man. I'm living my life as a woman.
So she kept asking me, so I snapped. And I turned around from my desk and I was like, I was at Pride. And she got really quiet and she said, why? And that's when I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna do it. And I said, because I'm a lesbian. I was like, Mom, I'm a lesbian. And she looked at me and she was like, no, you're not.
I didn't hear from her like in 2-3 days. And then the third day, she left me a message. She called me by my old boy name and she's like, I got your message. I think it's not right what you're doing. I had a baby boy when you were born. I didn't have a girl. Don't expect to come near the house dressed as a girl. You're not allowed to come to my house as a girl.
Years went by, and it wasn't until my mom was diagnosed with end-stage lung cancer that she came anywhere near accepting who I was. So they basically told her, you have like weeks to live. And my dad told her, you're gonna get over this, you're gonna get over it now. Because you don't have time, you don't have any time left. She passed away in January of 2011. And a month later, I'm sitting with my dad in my apartment and he says, you know, your mom one night toward the end had looked over at me and said, I messed up. And she was like, I lost so much time with her and I can't get it back. There was nothing we could do. Time had effectively run out. Probably like a month after the conversation that she had with my dad, she passed away.
It's like being in two borders. It's like, I feel like you're in two borders, you know? By one is because you're Latino and one is because you're gay. I was like, in my head, what am I gonna do when I come out? What are they gonna say?
Latino culture is often depicted as promoting machismo, which is acting in a hyper-masculine way that calls on Latino men to be dominant and suppress any signs of femininity.
But I think what's really interesting is, you know, the dynamics of our culture and tradition, you know, patriarchy, religion, machismo. I haven't had a relationship with my father because of that, because, of the fear in him, I feel, of accepting, and opening up to learning what it means to be gay, and to accept what it means to have a gay son. When I started really hearing more about, gay, in very negative terms, right, that, gay people go to hell, and, gay people are not accepted, and gay people are not, healthy people, really hit home when I was like 13, 14, going on to 15, to the point, where I did, consider committing suicide during that time. I just couldn't bear that if I were to come out, that I was gonna lose my mother like I did with my father.
There are two different issues. There's the issue about first coming out, and like it was mentioned before, the issue of being Latino. And I think that those are two separate things, and it's at times it clashes. I think that there's a lot of things that you have to be proud of when you're Latino. When you say Latino, it encompasses a lot. And part of that is machismo. Unfortunately, we do live in a patriarchal society, and it is pervasive in Latino culture. And so when you're gay, being gay is supposed to be liberating. You're supposed to be able to be free and be flamboyant, but that's not exactly what being a man entails in Latino community. So it is difficult to come out and to say, especially if you're masculine, I think to say that you're gay and to embrace homosexuality.
Also, Latino men who don't identify as queer or gay or something, it really impacts them as well, probably more so than men who are out and gay and queer.
So there's a feeling within the Mexican immigrant community that we are living in two worlds: the American world and the Mexican world. It's some sort of borderlands. In middle school, my friends, all young boys, would form a circle in the early mornings, before the sun had warmed our bodies, before the morning dew had evaporated into mist, 2 at a time. We would take turns catching the bodies, bare knuckle boxing, hitting each other in the torso until someone gave up. Those of us that didn't want to participate were kicked out of the circle. As a middle schooler, I wanted to be part of this group. Now, I was already the immigrant kid that didn't know enough English. I wanted to be accepted and liked. I also noticed that the bad boy demeanor was rewarded. And that's what we are taught as boys: to be aggressive in the face of adversity, to be this mountain of strength, rugged and unclimbable, to be this rolling thunderstorm, striking the ground to prove our validity as men. I wanted to be recognized, respected, admired, revered. I wanted so much to be feared. But I was only 70 pounds, skinny, and I bruised easily. It didn't matter how hard or how fast I swung my toothpick arms, I always gave up first. I was at a party, and I remember being upset and visibly frustrated and vocal about a situation. I think I was trying to reenact my failed attempts to be this Aztec warrior from middle school. When one of my white friends turned to me and said, "It's okay. It's the Latino blood in you. Latino men are feisty and hot-tempered. You are spicy." In my case, everybody stood in silence. And I was shocked for 2 reasons. One, I didn't expect a friend to put me into this box. And 2, I had never heard that stereotype, at least not that clearly. But I believed them. I went through my college career believing what was said that day. Any sign of aggression, it was just in my blood. You see, if water can trickle down from the mountains into the ocean without anything to stop it, how could I change? I figured that if my peers believed this stereotype to be true, they would understand that I couldn't do anything about my aggressive behavior. At the same time, I also wondered if their opinion would be any different if I were white. And that's the burden for us brown boys. we do not get the benefit of the doubt. You see, we are pushed into this box that defines us, that hurts us. And yes, patriarchy, sexism has always hurt women. It has always been used as a tool to keep women in their place, subservient to men. And here I am, a recipient of privilege for being male, an unknown enforcer of patriarchy, and also stuck in the stereotype for being brown. But growing up alongside the men in my family and in my community, I began to realize that we are more than the stereotypes. You see, people have been quick to point to my culture and label it as machista, patriarchal, sexist, because of where I come from and how I look. People have deemed me an outsider that denounces the humanity of others. But machismo does not have to define who I am, who my people are. These stereotypes, they're not in our blood. We have learned them. We can also dismantle them.
I don't think there is a clash between being Latino and being gay. I think there's a clash between sexism and being gay, misogyny and being gay. I don't think it's unique to us. There is a way in which we've racialized sexism and homophobia among Latinos in ways that we don't necessarily for, let's say, for white men or for white folks. We don't have a special word for their portrayals of sexism. Why don't we think of white men as well when we don't offer a racializing word for them? So I think that there's something there that sensationalizes. And while certainly, I grew up in East San Jose in California and also in a small village in northern Mexico. So I know what sexism looks like, and I know what it means to not live up to that standard. But I don't know that my experience is unique in the way that, for instance, my white gay friends experience as well. I think just as with white men, it's sexism and being gay that clash. I don't think it's who we are racially. Certainly there are particular ways that we experience these, but I think that it's useful to racialize them necessarily. I'm not saying ignore the problems that we face, because they're there, absolutely. But it's when we apply this other additional language that I think that it assumes that what we experience is unique and somehow more problematic.
Pero yo desde que yo nací yo ya traigo en mi mente eso, pero como no está uno ignorante, está un rancho más cerrado, pero ya cuando viene uno aquí como que se abre más de mentalidad y yo veía muchas cosas que no eran normales. Bueno, a mi manera de pensar de cómo uno vivía. No me daba tristeza ni coraje por mí, sino que me daba tristeza por él porque lo iban a ofender y no sabía cómo defenderse de las personas que los ofenden porque son gay. Entonces yo quería saber para yo también protegerlo y saber cómo defenderlo.
Being who you are, regardless of what your mom or your dad or your siblings thinks, is the most liberating feeling, because at the end of the day you have to love you. You really have to love who you are and the way that you live your life. And if you don't, if you're living it for somebody else, you're going to end up mad at them, you're going to end up mad at yourself, and no one's going to win.
We're Latinas, we're tough, we're strong, we can like overcome anything, I feel like a powerful Latina. I feel like Salma Hayek, I take every curve with a lot of pride. I just want to say to those Latino culture families, it's if you really want to see your children happy, let them be who they want to be. Don't try to force them to be someone they're not.
My family support to me has been the keystone to my survival. Without them, I would have crumbled the first time people blew a feather at me to shatter me.
I have these friends, really good friends. They have 2 kids. The kids ask her, Mom, why Juan Carlos and his boyfriend, why they holding hands? And she asked me, how can I answer that question to a baby? And my answer to my friend is the same love. The same love Mom and Dad has. Juan Carlos and his friend, they love each other. Because love, it has the same letters for gay, straight, or whoever. And that's it.
Let us commit the most rebellious act of them all. Let us love ourselves